Hey, all right. You are listening to the Deadman's Tome podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Deadman, and this show is way too damn sexy for YouTube, which is why it's completely demonetized on YouTube. Can't make a dime unless you use Streamlabs or whatever, which I would definitely be greatly appreciated if you did. Not begging, it's totally up to you. Anyway, as far as announcements goes, I have a new book out called Deadhead, as a collection of short stories written by me. I rarely get to plug my own stuff, but it's out there. And these short stories are pretty gruesome, very brutal. Not for the faint of heart at all. With that said, let's move on. Our guest tonight is Phoebe Xavier.
Hello.
How's it going? Your last name is pretty cool, Xavier.
Thanks.
Is that a real last name? Is that your pen name?
Yeah, that's a pen name. That's my selected name as an adult.
Oh, well, it's still pretty cool.
Thanks.
Are you a member of the X-Men or something?
No, I am not. I don't have any mutant powers that I can verify.
So you don't read minds or anything? You don't have that?
No, I'm pretty intuitive though.
Pretty intuitive. That's more of like a woman thing, right? Intuition.
Yeah, that's not telepathy though. Yeah.
No. Okay.
It's not telekinetics. It's not pyrokinetics or whatever.
Yeah, but let me ask you, like, if you had a choice of any sort of superpower or mutant power to have, like, what would it be and why?
I do think I would want Jean Grey's power, the combination of telekinetics and telepathy.
That's nice.
If you're smart, you can pretty much do anything with that. Like,
right?
You can do all other superpowers. Yeah.
You know, I'd be fine with just being able to control minds. If I could just control people's minds, read people's thoughts, control minds, then I wouldn't need any other superpower, because I could pretty much have a whole posse of people that just do things for me. Like, I could go to a bank and be like, you're just going to go ahead and give me the money. An officer over there, you're not going to do anything about it because it doesn't concern you.
He won't even remember.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It'd be great. Yeah. It'd be great. This is probably why this show gets demonetized. Talk about doing crime and how to do it. And I don't know, man. I don't know. They say I'm too damn sexy. According to Google, right. I'm too damn sexy.
That's a weird.
That is weird. I didn't know that. Right? The sound.
They sent you an email.
Yeah, they sent me an email saying that the bulk of the content.
Please be less sexy.
Well, the bulk of the content is sexually gratifying, and I am the bulk of the content. This voice is. So.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, enough about me, Phoebe Xavier. Who are you, and what do you do?
I am a writer. I am a writer, an editor, and a letterer for comic books. I'm also the founder and editor-in-chief of a indie brand that we call 123 Go, 123 Go Publications. You can find that on Instagram or Facebook. I don't know. No, we don't have a Twitter right now. But I get together with other underground comic book creators, and I make comic books. I also write narrative fiction. I have some short stories that I'm putting together a collection called Superliminal Latency that we've been editing that during this whole COVID-19 bullshit. And so work that I otherwise wouldn't have gotten to, some editing work, we're getting ahead of ourselves there a little bit. But yeah, I mostly work on comic books, and I write a TV blog. I write for my friend Jenny, and she has a site called TV is My Pacifier.
TV is your pacifier. Okay. Yeah. That is a lot right there, Ms. Xavier. Let's see. But as far as your writing goes, I mean, how long have you been writing?
Since I was kind of little, I guess. Since I probably tried to write my first book when I was like 10 years old. Okay. And it was back when I was reading a lot of like Dragonlance and Athos and other Dungeons and Dragons books.
Yeah.
So I think I wrote like maybe 40 pages of a book that took place on Athos, the Dark Sun world in AD&D 2nd edition.
Okay.
So that was my first attempt at writing. I also was parts of some groups in high school that we would do pass around stories that each of us would write a page or two and then we would pass it on. I wrote some really foul, obscene stuff back then that I had a friend come up to me like 10 years later and was like, hey, you guys were doing South Park like 10 years before South Park.
Right? You missed out on that. But
yeah.
So at the age of 10 you started. And I think that's a common thing with a lot of writers that like some people like that's when they first find, I guess, maybe the grandmother's typewriter and they start getting into it. I don't know. Everyone has their own experience about that. But age of 10, and you stuck with it. Something about, I mean, well, what was it? Was it creating worlds? Was it creating the characters?
I think all of it. Actually, initially, the way I got into telling stories was in the backseat of our car when we would be driving around, and my little brothers and sister would want me something to keep their attention, so I would tell stupid stories. And I had been into comic books since I was like 3 or 4, because that was the first reading I did after like Dr. Seuss books.
Mm-hmm.
So, so a lot of superheroes and sci-fi right from the start was what I was interested in.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I'm also from the Star Wars generation. Like, I was born the same month that Episode 4 came out. So by the time Return of the Jedi came out, I saw Return of the Jedi in the theater like 7 times.
Hey, that's not bad at all. And when it came out, it was the first Star Wars movie. I mean, when it first came out, there was no Episode 4. It was the first one. You know, it's all like
just Star Wars.
Yeah, they didn't really plan it out as much as George Lucas likes to say he did.
No, I actually was reading recently about the producer that he worked with on the first 2 that they like had a bad falling out after Empire.
Yeah.
And but yeah, that the producer wanted a whole different direction for Jedi.
Well, George Lucas is pretty hard to work with, from what I understand. You know?
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that.
I mean, a lot of filmmakers are. I mean, there's an ego there, right? You can't be a director without an ego. Well, I mean,
you get your vision, and then you lock into it, and you try to do the best to like make it come to life. Yeah,
and that's what happened with the recent Star Wars trilogy. You had different directors, different ideas where to go, and it's like you did so much piggyback of one another. You sort of like took one person's idea and you went a whole different direction, and now they have to undo what you did. It was like,
yeah, that's why they brought J.J. Abrams back for Episode 9, right?
Yeah.
Because the other guy fucked up Episode 8 so bad.
Yes, it's like, why don't y'all just stick with one director? Like, if you're gonna do a trilogy again, just stick with one director. Just stick with one.
Yeah, crazy idea.
Yeah, right. Too many cooks in the kitchen, right? Too many chefs in the kitchen.
Yes.
It's for a bad time. But okay, so a comic book. So what fascinates you more, writing horror or comic books?
As 2 separate things, writing like narrative fiction of horror.
Yeah.
I think I enjoy comic books more, but I don't even read or watch that much horror. I just sometimes get these really fucked up ideas that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna tell a story and this is the ending. Mm-hmm. And because of the subject matter, I gotta make it a horror story.
And I've read some of your stuff. I mean, you gave me I think 2 of your short stories. I was able to read one before coming on, and it was pretty wild stuff. Very brutal. Went right for the jugular there. The title. I mean, do you want to introduce what the title was, or what the title is?
Yeah, I believe it's called chase_rape_kill.fdv or FLV. It's a type of file extension.
Yeah.
It's about a girl in Manhattan about 100 years in the future, and through the course of the night, she is chased by a gang, raped by a gang, and killed by them. But she's also recording it electronically the whole time, so that other people can play it back and experience what she experienced. So it's also like cyberpunk. It's as much cyberpunk as it is a horror story.
Right, and that recording thing, I guess storing the memories on some sort of chip or whatever, and being able to play it back, that's something that's very common in cyberpunk. Something that's, you see it.
I'm
Go ahead.
William Gibson established that in his short stories. William Gibson is pretty much the godfather of cyberpunk, and a lot of the stuff that we see in even to modern cyberpunk is shit that William Gibson already did.
Yeah.
But if you can make an interesting twist on it, like I think that story has never really been done quite that way before.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to give it away, but you had you had some people come across the recording that probably shouldn't come across it, and they were just like playing it back and kind of enjoying it as if it was like a video game or something, you know?
Yes, entertainment, and that's what our consumer culture does anyway.
Right.
We do it with reality TV stars, we do it with sports stars.
Oh yeah.
We consume somebody else's life experience and turn it into our own entertainment.
Right, and if producers could get away with showing you it all, they totally would. They totally would.
Like directly from the eyeballs and central nervous system of the person experiencing it. Maybe someday we'll get there. Maybe we actually will.
Well, the technology is there. I think what stops it is I guess the potential backlash or whatever, or
the ethics. Yeah.
Ethics. That's the other word I'm looking for. Ethics.
I think that some of the technology is there, but not quite the way that I fictionalize it in that particular story, or the way that I'm trying to remember the name. It's a James Cameron movie where the whole plot is based on like this hooker has a recording that they're trying to get back. It's like New Year's Eve 2000 or 1999. Fucking James Cameron directed it, I swear. Yeah.
And they're trying to get a recording.
They're trying to get this.
Oh God, what is the name of that movie? All right, if someone's watching right now, I think there's someone else watching. Can you let us know in the chat what that is? That'd be great. A James Cameron movie, 1999.
It takes place in 99, but it was like directed in 94 when we thought like 1999 is so far in the future.
Man. Okay. I don't know. Damn.
Yeah, I forget the name of it. But it's the similar technology, and it's something that, like I said, William Gibson had included in his short stories in the early 80s.
Okay. Now, before we go very deep into the genre of sci-fi and horror and how they blend well together, which is obviously a huge topic tonight, I want to talk about your comic book thing. Now, you said you published the comic books, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
All right. And I have an image of one right here, the devil, the reigning the devil.
Moloch reigning devil, yes.
Yeah, this one looked crazy. You showed me that comic. It looked very brutal, very good. The character kind of reminded me of like a Judge Dredd type. You know?
Yeah. There's a short story from one of our other comics where we introduced that character and how he came to take over hell. But basically, God sent him to hell to kill Lucifer, not knowing, and what the angel didn't know is that once he kills the devil, he becomes the next devil. So the premise of the book moving forward now is he has to consolidate the powers of hell underneath him if he ever wants to wage war on heaven.
Oh, damn. That's a pretty awesome premise. And I like the artwork is great too. I mean, I'm a simple guy. If you have brutal action, lots of blood, and you have some skin, you're definitely going to get my attention. Okay. And this comic had that. It has that right there.
I think the sexiest person in that book is actually Lust or whatever, the actual sin. And she is only on that one page, but yeah, she's pretty sexy. Mm-hmm.
Oh, she is. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I don't see, of course, I'm a guy. Of course I wouldn't see anything wrong with it, right? But what about you? You think there's anything wrong with like showing, I don't know, sexy women being sexy?
In comic book? No. Sex sells. Yeah, right. No. Yeah. I definitely take that into account when I'm planning how I'm going to do a cover or a book in general. The one cover for our one book is two girls like making out as they're aiming their guns, which is ridiculous. You know, you're obviously not going to aim a gun if you're like tongue deep in someone else's face.
I don't know. What if that gets you off? What if that's your fetish?
or if that brings me some attention to the book because guys are like, oh, that's hot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so I am willing to take advantage of the fact that sex sells. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's true. Sex does sell, and something like that, something that can get eyeballs drawn to it, and it's not just guys. Ladies like that stuff too. I mean, it happens.
Strong lesbian characters. We need strong lesbian characters.
Right. Let's see. The other cover I have here is Trouble, I think.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what's this comic about?
She is a ex-Soul Corps Marine. She used to be in the future. This is like 2450 is about when it takes place. She was in the Marines for 20 years. She's actually 40 years old, even though she looks 20. And that's just future technology.
That's good technology. That's technology that we would all hope we could have. I mean, come on.
Well, yeah, but it's the way that it works out is once again with a cyberpunk or post-cyber sort of motif, and it's only the rich people, the really well-to-do people that can afford that.
Oh.
But she, in any case, retires to the moon, and she lives in a dome where there is an ocean, a simulated ocean on the moon, and she is basically retired and supposed to be chilling, but because her ex-boyfriend is the local sergeant of police, he calls her for help every 20 minutes when he needs help. And to me, that book it's a comedy. It's a sci-fi comedy, and it's her being thrust into a superhero role where she doesn't want to be a superhero. But in that way, I'm making it kind of my Spider-Man, the Spider-Man I grew up on, Peter Parker, that he was just a kid trying to like take care of his grandma and go to school to be a chemist or whatever. But every 20 minutes he has to fight some asshole in an alligator mask or dressed up like a rhinoceros or whatever. And so to get themselves through it, they're cracking jokes the whole time.
Okay.
So she's very much a smartass.
No,
and the book is her telling jokes.
In this comic, which is a good, I like that sort of thing. But in this comic, now, did he draw? I mean, did he illustrate it and color it?
Oh no, I don't do any of my art. The person who did that is Schwenshin Bunag.
Okay.
And he's from Thailand, and he's actually a pretty successful hentai artist.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when he's not doing comic books, he's drawing pretty provocative artwork.
Well, I could see some of that here.
Yeah. No, there are some samples in that issue that I sent you where I had to use like the talk bubble to cover up the camel toe that he was drawing. But I was like, I kind of want this to be an all ages book if possible. I'm not putting any curses in here, no graphic violence, no blood, and maybe a little blood.
Well, what's the and this is in Trouble, right? You don't want too much blood in Trouble because it's sort of more of a comedy. Okay. And what's the feedback like so far?
Everybody that I've sent that to really likes that book. Actually, everybody really likes Malik too. Malik
is awesome.
Yeah. I have not run into anybody yet that gave me like serious notes on like, hey, you're gonna have to work on this if you want to find your audience.
Right.
What I'm doing too with these books and some of the newer books that we have, I'm just putting out the books that I want to see, the books that I want to read. I'm not trying to really try to appeal to an audience. The people that I'm trying to appeal to are people that are comic book nerds or like for the same genres, cyberpunk nerds, whatever.
Mm-hmm. And that's what you should
maybe
do.
Horror
that's
fans.
what anybody should do. Like put out what you want to see, right? Don't just put out what you think the market wants. Put out what you would like to see, and that hopefully is the most fulfilling for you, at least for your soul. Whatever that means.
Yeah. I don't believe in any such thing as the soul. The 7 ounces or 7 grams that leave your body when you die. Yeah.
Oh well, you know what I'm saying. I'm saying, so to speak.
Yeah.
Some people do things for the market because for the money that they think they'll get. If you do stuff for yourself, it's going to be more fulfilling.
Yeah. I don't make enough money off of this to be concerned about that.
Now the Maybe one if it's really popular, maybe a fan service version where the cameos are shown.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I'm definitely open to do posters or T-shirts,
Okay.
which would have maybe a little bit more of an adult tone. But I'm trying to make that book more of an all ages, or at
Okay.
least like a PG-13. Yeah,
Okay.
not
Yeah, I
not
get you there.
graphic,
I get you.
not graphic vaginas and penetration and stuff.
None of that. Okay.
Not in this mode.
But what I like about those comics, and what I liked about your short story, is that it blends sci-fi and horror together. Like maybe not so much the comedic comic, but definitely Malik.
Mm-hmm.
You get an element of horror there, and there's something about the horror, the genre, that makes it to where it meshes very well with sci-fi. And what is that really?
I think that so when you're gonna do a horror story, you have like two options well, maybe three. You have like two, but with the third option of being just a reality-based horror. But usually your two options are either to have your bad guy or your evil to be a supernatural fantasy sort of thing, whether it be magic or religiously based or whatever. But it has nothing to do with science. It has to do more with elves and dwarves and bullshit like that. The Eldritch gods. I don't know. But like the other option is that your scary shit could come from science aliens.
Right.
Like series like Predator or Alien series.
Right.
There are a number of really solid horror movies in those series that but you're like, it's just an alien. No, it's not just an alien. It's an alien that a director directed really well to make you shit your pants about it.
Right. Right. And that's something okay, every guest on this podcast, I always give them a chance to talk about their favorite horror movies because, and that's what this podcast is really about, horror. And oftentimes people bring up Alien and Predator because they recognize it. They see the horror element. Sometimes, though, it's like, no, Alien's not horror. Alien's not horror. It's like, no, Alien.
The first one is.
Alien is a horror movie. Like,
yeah, the first one definitely is.
Alien 2, but definitely Alien. Alien is a horror movie.
I would say even the third one is more back into the horror genre because they're not as well equipped and they're kind of just running around like for some reason everybody speaks in British accents, but they're all running around from the it's basically back to the theme of the first one that they're being hunted. In the second one, it's kind of like the Marines are hunting the aliens at the same time. But yeah, by the time you get back to the third one, I think it's a horror once again. Also, the first Predator. The first Predator is very much a thriller. That you don't expect Arnold to get out alive through most of that movie. Right,
and the way they did that is, in the Predator is like a mesh. It's an action. It's a sci-fi. It's a horror, and they did that. I think the horror element really comes in because one, they establish how strong, how well equipped these guys are, right?
Yeah, his advantage though is sci-fi. His ability to turn invisible or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's a sci-fi explanation. He's not casting a spell. He's not calling upon the powers of Satan or whatever. He just has a thing on his wrist and he turns invisible.
Right. And that entity, that thing, that alien, the Predator, with his tools, with his weapons, with his gadgets, he's able to take out these killing machines, these Marines.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They thought they were on top of the world. Their mission was practically done. But then they're the ones who are hunted. And that's when that movie shifts from being an action movie to some sort of sci-fi horror movie where
I think the horror in that one also comes through in the gore. Like they were really willing to show like the filleted human body with all the skin ripped off and shit. Like which for that time, that period, for a major release in theaters, that was kind of rare. You might have got that in some campy horror movies, but that was a pretty extensive gore, I think. Avant gore.
Yeah, for back then, yeah, definitely. It was a great example of a gory movie. And I think what these examples we're bringing up with horror movies, it's like they shatter your sense of safety. They make you face your fear. The things you don't want to see, you're gonna see. Situations you don't want to see characters in, they're gonna be in. You know.
Yeah.
and the sci-fi element is what the landscape or who I guess where they
Sometimes
are.
it's like a plot device, like the explanation for how something is possible. That it's easier just to write it as a sci-fi because then you don't have to insert a whole nother tech layer of, like I said, demons or spells or some magical fairy race that gives you the powers that you have. It's easier to explain that that's an alien with advanced technology.
That magical fairy race is really good to me. Okay, they give me all sorts of superpowers. I just can't talk about them.
Okay, Rick.
No. Well,
have you watched the two new Rick and Mortys?
No, I haven't.
Oh, I'm not a fan of the two latest. The two latest episodes bombed.
Oh,
but,
really?
Yeah, that's a show that does a pretty good combination of science fiction and fantasy, though. They definitely delved into both realms.
Now, there's some. Oh, you know what you mentioned before? You mentioned aliens coming down and stuff like that. I'm thinking of like Lovecraft and Lovecraft with the cosmic horror. Back in his time, that was sci-fi because they didn't really. I mean, they had an understanding of space, but they didn't really. I mean, his stuff was coming from outer space. It was like,
yes, that is true. Yes,
in fact, a lot of his, I guess, monsters, his mythos beings, whatever, they kind of come from outer space.
Either outer space or the ancient Hyperborea, or however it's pronounced.
Yes.
He and the guy who wrote Conan shared a fictional world, and so what's his face, Cthulhu, is actually like a god that was active in the time of Conan the Barbarian or whatever.
Oh no shit! I did not know that.
Yeah, those two knew each other, and they like had a shared fictional world that like both the Conan stories occurred in, and a lot of those eldritch gods that are in H.P. Lovecraft shit also coexist in the Conan world. Yeah. But when Lovecraft was writing, you're right, he would say like talking about them being from out there or like coming to invade this place or whatever. But a lot of that was inspired by his own racism. He was very xenophobic.
Yeah.
And when he moved to Brooklyn and like was around black people for the first time, that inspired so much of his fiction.
The inspiration might not be that great, but the sci-fi horror part there, the cosmic horror, what would he like the color of outer space, the color from outer space, that story.
I haven't seen that, but that's the new Nick Cage one, right?
Yeah.
And it's based on Lovecraft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have this entity comes from outer space and looks like a meteor. Pretty much infects the land. This just weird fungus growth starts going everywhere. They can't really explain it. They don't know how to explain it.
Nice.
And there's this dread. There's this psychological element. But you get that sci-fi element because it's like you don't know what this entity is. And when you do finally see it, you still don't, of course, in Lovecraft fashion, you still don't really know what it is.
By the end of the movie?
By
the end of the book?
By the end of the story. Well, Lovecraft has a tradition of not really telling you outright what the entity is. It kind of
conclusively.
Yeah. He likes to do the whole, you wouldn't even imagine. You can't even imagine. You couldn't fathom. You couldn't fathom what this thing is. It's so dark and evil. Oh. But yeah, I mean, there's other great examples. Richard Matheson, I Am Legend.
Oh, I never read that. I saw the Will Smith thing.
Oh, there has not been a good adaptation of I Am Legend. But another, I think, a pretty good example of a sci-fi horror blend. What about for you?
I don't know. The ones that I brought up kind of cover it a little bit. Like I said, Alien and Predator are the two primary ones that I would think of. I think that There is a thriller element though in so much of sci-fi. Okay, so have you ever seen Suicide Club?
Suicide Club. Wait.
Yeah, it's a Japanese movie. Um, and I would say that's definitely a pretty solid blend of sci-fi and horror. It kind of ties into J-pop. I know K-pop is more popular these days, but like it was written when J-pop was the more prevalent Asian pop music. And yeah, it's about people that sort of kill themselves when a website says they're going to kill themselves.
Oh,
And
wow. Okay.
the movie, oh my god, the movie starts out, it's so brilliant. There's all these girls, like Japanese schoolgirls, like skipping and like singing songs together, and grouping off into their little 4 or 5 best friends here, 2 best friends there, and then they're acting normally until the train starts to pull up to the station. Then they all line up at the edge of the platform and jump onto the tracks, and 90 of them kill themselves at the same time.
Holy hell.
Yeah. And that's just the first 2 minutes.
That's the first 2 minutes
from there.
That's the first 2 minutes. How that starts.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how Suicide Club starts. Yeah.
Okay, wait. And the body count's what, 90? 90 Japanese? Wait, did you say 90,
Yeah,
90 or 19?
Yeah. I think 90. But like
90. Okay.
It's a lot. It's a lot. I don't remember specifically. But okay, so another Japanese horror movie. Have you ever watched The Audition?
The Audition.
Yeah.
That one might have skipped. It's first of all, I don't even know how I haven't seen Suicide Club. I'm looking at the cover now, and this looks like something. The cover kind of reminds me of Battle Royale a little bit, but Suicide Club. How have I not seen this?
You should see it. You should definitely watch it.
I got to. Let me guess. Does it go into the dirty lifestyle of J-pop, or is it just?
I think no. That's where the weird sci-fi shit kicks in.
Okay.
I think that they take a step in the direction of weirdness instead of any like I don't really know the lifestyle of a J-pop K-pop star.
Well,
but
it's weird, right? There's like an underbelly. There's a dark scene of vipers. I mean, you could just imagine. I guess kind of with the K-pop. I mean, you hear about it.
I have heard some things that they're sort of like indentured servants or something.
Yeah.
But that's how I see a lot of American rock stars too. So I don't know.
They're pretty much they make barely nothing because the record company keeps majority of it.
Yeah, or they pay you in like drugs and whatever, your tour bus.
Yep.
To back up the answer.
Yep. They give you just enough to keep you going, but not enough
right.
to where you can just quit or be on your own. Right.
Yeah. But another one that's a horror film, but not so much a sci-fi, is The Audition, is a Japanese horror film that I highly recommend. And that is about a girl sort of auditioning to be both a secretary and a lover for like an executive. And there's a, it's just really paced really well. Like you have to be patient to get through the first 40 minutes. But then once you get through the first 40 minutes, you're going to jump out of your seat and be like, oh, fuck, what am I watching? Like, right. Whoa. Yeah.
Wait, so she knows that she's going in for both roles? Like, it's not like a Weinstein thing where it's like, oh, by the way, like she knows.
I think,
okay.
No, I think it's pretty much upfront, but it's not. She's not the one that gets surprised. It's the guy that hires her that does.
Does she have a penis? I mean, I'm assuming the guy might not be into that sort of thing. I don't know. I'm just.
I don't think we ever get to see her genitals, but she. I don't want to ruin it. You just got to watch it.
Well, it is Japanese. Does she have tentacles? Does she have tentacles?
She does not. But the okay, so the way I even learned about that movie was watching like a VHS or VH1 top 100 countdown of horror movies, and Rob Zombie recommended that one and said that when he was watching it, it was one of the only movies ever that he had to pause the video and think about if he really wanted to watch the end of this movie.
Oh, that sounds good. That sounds...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I could do that to Rob Zombie, I promise you, you're going to be disturbed by some of the things in this movie.
The Audition. Okay, Suicide Club and...
Yes.
And The Audition. I gotta check this out. I gotta make a list. Now, the sci-fi element in The Audition. Is she like?
That's not as much there. That's not as much there.
Okay, but it's definitely there.
It's just a straight horror movie. It's a straight horror movie. Yeah,
That's
a Suicide Club.
Suicide Club. Sorry.
Yeah. Now I know. Branding is what branding is. But the Suicide Club came out in the 90s, I think, or at the very least in the early 2000s. And yeah, that one definitely has a sci-fi element to it.
Mm. Now, I mentioned Battle Royale. Would you consider that sci-fi? I mean, they use...
Yeah. That's definitely sci-fi. But
dystopian future sort of thing.
Yeah. I am pretty certain that we don't do that right now anywhere on Earth. I don't think that we sent teenagers to an island to kill each other.
Might be practicing in North Korea. I don't know. I don't know what they do over there.
It's possible. I'm not going to say it's impossible. However, I still don't think we do that. And so I think that I'm going to put that in the sci-fi category. Yeah.
You know, I asked my wife this today, actually, talk about this subject. What about Terminator 2? I know we're like in Japan land, but in Terminator 2, would you?
That's a pretty good horror movie. Would
you consider horror, sci-fi, or action? Like, if you had to choose one, what would it be?
Sci-fi, if I had to narrow it to one, but it's also an action horror movie. Yeah.
Yeah, and why is that? What makes it a sci-fi horror movie?
Well, I mean, it's a thriller that they're being hunted the entire time by, again, a robot that you don't think they're going to be able to beat. I don't know where that music is coming from.
Oh, no, that's me. I have background music playing sometimes.
Or rainy. So I don't think that horror is in the front seat, is in the driver's seat for that one, because almost every scene is informed more by the weird that this guy's a robot or the bad guy's a robot. That both your protagonist and your antagonist. But yeah, I think that a lot of it is informed by the action when they're driving through stupid shopping malls or the LA River Basin. But no, again, I think I'd put it sci-fi before either of the other two. But the fact that that robot is mostly able to kill them almost at any time is like the horror thriller element.
Yeah, I would definitely agree on that. Definitely see that there. It's an unstoppable killing machine. You can't take it out. There is that sense of dread. I mean, if the thing that makes horror is that
it's relentless. It keeps coming.
Yeah.
You can't stop it.
And it's not like another action film, because in action films you don't get that sense of dread or horror. There might be an adrenaline rush, but you don't get the unstoppable force that's coming after you.
Right.
And the sci-fi element, of course, would be that it's a robot from the future. My wife was joking because what about Blade? Would Blade be a sci-fi? It's like, no, Blade's a horror. Blade's not sci-fi.
Oh, I don't know. I think Blade is very much a sci-fi. He is just coming out of the Marvel universe. I think of Blade first as a character in Spider-Man. I don't think of him as what's his face, Wesley Snipes or whatever.
Oh, but it was good.
Yeah, the movies were okay. Yeah, the movies were good. I think two of them were pretty good, and then they got a little silly with it.
That's what happens with franchises, though. You do that third one.
Yeah.
Hey, if that second one was good, you want us to stop there. Don't do the third one. Don't do it.
Yeah, they don't know how to stop right there.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
Right. I guess, yeah, if you look at Blade coming from the comic book, and he does have a lot of tech.
Yeah, exactly. And without his backup guy or whatever helping him get through it.
What was his name?
Whistler.
Yeah. God damn.
Yeah. And that's another character that came from the books. Yeah, I think he very much relies on tech, and I put it in the sci-fi category.
Sci-fi. You know, my wife was
sci-fi horror, but it's
both.
Like, but I
was okay. So, is it sci-fi because it's tech, or is it tech that's in the realm of possibility? Like, is that what makes?
I I think if you're a vampire hunter and you use high-tech shit, even if the high-tech shit is technically maybe available on the market these days, it still kind of puts you in the sci-fi category.
So what about Underworld?
That was mostly just werewolves versus vampires. Oh, no. They were doing weird experiments.
They use
they
special
were doing
weapons.
genetic experiments. And we're experimenting genetically, which is a whole side.
And they're shooting bullets with ultraviolet light, which is okay. Good luck on that. I mean, I don't think that's gonna work right, but okay.
There's a number of scientific tropes in that one. Yeah, sci-fi tropes.
Man, it's such a weird blend. It's like I could just imagine some horror purists, some sci-fi purists just getting pissed off, like, no, it can only be one. It can only be one. To them, I always say, like, why does it have to be one? Like, it could be both. It could be all of the above. It's possible. It happens.
Oh yeah. And I mean, there's nothing with nothing wrong with a movie being purely within a certain genre, but there are a number of movies that cross over and blend together several different genres well. I think we've gone over at least 10 of them tonight.
We have. And there's all TV series like Black Mirror. Black Mirror is a great example. That is.
Well, the first couple of seasons.
Well, I only watched I think the first season. I think a handful of episodes. I know, but yeah, I know enough to say that it's sci-fi horror, psychological at least. I mean, even the first episode when it was using social media as a way to. Oh man,
is that the one where he fucks the pig?
Yeah, that's the one where he fucks the pig.
Boys.
If you're gonna start a series off with any episode, that's that's the one that really does it. Because anything you do after that, it's gonna look tame. How do you fucking a pig?
They kept it okay. So they kept topping themselves up until this last season with the Miley Cyrus episodes. Miley Cyrus, I like that episode, but the other two episodes in the last season of Black Mirror sucked.
Oh, what happened?
They did not belong in Black Mirror. The one was with Topher Grace and I think Ruffalo might have been the other actor, but it was just it was a sci-fi story. It was a sci-fi thriller, but there was absolutely no horror element.
Oh yeah, then that doesn't belong. That doesn't belong. That's not Black Mirror. You gotta have a horror element.
Exactly. And then the other one was that it was two grown adult black males that would use a video game to have sex with each other. One of them as a girl, one of them as a boy. And I was like, this is erotic. This is sci-fi. But again, it was not a horror story. The Miley Cyrus episode was the only one that fit that season, and because it was still at least both horror and sci-fi.
Because it starred Miley Cyrus?
I mean, Miley Cyrus, whatever. No, just watch it. It's a really good episode.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of Miley Cyrus, but that episode with Miley Cyrus is a good Black Mirror episode.
We had a road trip not too long ago, my family and I, and my son, he's like 6. Yeah, he just turned 6. And on the radio, Miley Cyrus is playing. My wife controlled the music. And he started singing it. And I'm like, great.
I don't even want to know what she was singing about. Yeah.
The Wrecking Ball. I don't know. I don't even know the song. But you just sing the same chorus over and over and over again. Not the whole thing, just the one line. I'm like, great. I'm like, all right, son, just don't Google Miley Cyrus, whatever you do, okay? Yeah. I don't want you to be exposed to that yet.
Do not Google twerking. Do not Google twerking. Yeah. No, I understand. But I'm not a fan of Miley Cyrus at all, but that episode was pretty awesome. Also, the Bandersnatch or whatever. You should watch that. The Choose Your Own Adventure one.
That's the Choose Your Own Adventure one. Yeah, see, that one I missed out on. I know there was a hype. Everyone was talking about it.
It was good. It's pretty good.
Now, there's classic examples too, like Twilight Zone. Oh, that's old school. Yeah. That's old school horror and sci-fi. That didn't use a lot of gore or anything. It was psychological. Yeah. You had to.
Nobody used gore back then.
No. Right. And I guess for those that like horror without gore, because you could definitely do horror without gore. You don't need gore to make something scary. In fact, if you're able to pull it off, hey, I think that takes more skill. Anyone can throw a bunch of guts and blood around.
Great.
Man,
But have you seen the new Twilight Zone?
I have not. Is it good?
Jordan Peele. Yeah. Is that the guy's name? Jordan Peele, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were really good. A few of them were kind of so-so. Like it could have been thrown in. Could have been in the Outer Limits or whatever. It wasn't necessarily Twilight Zone caliber. But the last episode they did, which was about the Twilight Zone, the TV show, and like it was very meta, and it was about the writer and being sucked into the show, and it was very, very good.
Ooh, that sounds cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I highly recommend that one. Oh, his movies, the Jordan Peele shit, like Get Out and Us.
Peele's been on fire, man. He's been.
That's sci-fi and horror, both of those. Yeah.
Yeah, that guy definitely has a lot of respect for the for the craft, for the genre. I mean, I would have no idea, knowing his.
Yeah, no, he's pretty good. He is very good in both of those genres.
Yeah. Yeah, Get Out. That was good.
Did you watch Creep Zone or Creep Show? Their new series of Creep Show came out on Shudder.
I have not seen the new series. I've not, but I remember the old school stuff. I had the Creep Show comic. Talk about horror comics. I think they called it a magazine then. There was a time when they weren't calling them comics anymore because of the comic code or whatever.
Oh,
so they changed it to magazine, so you couldn't touch them.
Right on. Yeah. I used to read like the Witching Hour and the Tales from the Crypt when it was a comic book in the 60s or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that was printed on Marvel Comics back then. But yeah, then when I was a kid, we watched it on HBO.
Man. Memory Lane, you're taking me back. Twilight Zone.
I just turned 43. Yeah.
Hey. But you look like you're 25, 24? Because you got that new age, you got that cyberpunk stuff, right? You got that sci-fi stuff?
No, I look like I'm 40.
Damn it. I was trying to help you. Okay.
Yeah.
But and Tales from the Crypt are they ever going to bring that back? I thought they were going to try, but
I have no idea. I would think that after Creep Show, the success of Creep Show last year, I would see no reason not to, but I'm sure somebody owns it and it's more about contracts than it is about, popular demand.
Right. Well, sort through the contracts, man. Keep on calling them up. Keep on going to those meetings. Get it done because there's money to be made. Just seal the deal. God.
All right, I'm not part of that, but all right.
It's like that's like these business guys. They want to make money. Well, there's money to be made. Just negotiate the goddamn contract.
Exactly.
It's like what happened with the Friday the 13th. The writer for the original one claimed he said he had stake in the Jason character because he wrote it. But the Jason character in Friday the 13th in the original he was baby Jason. He wasn't like hockey mask wearing Jason.
Right. But just because he had named a character Jason fucking Voorhees or whatever.
Yeah, but it got tied up in court. And it's still tied up in court. Because the two, they can't reconcile their differences. It's like, what is it? Like, are these, I can only imagine, like, what they're arguing, like, what they want, what their demands are. But it's like, talk it out. Otherwise, Jason gets caught in the mix forever. Oh.
I'm not really too concerned about the character of Jason Voorhees. I'm definitely not, to me, an intelligent or well-written character over the 14, 15 movies he's been in.
Yeah, the first one's definitely had a. Well, I like all horror, like paranormal slashers. I mean, you put a horror in front of me, I'm probably gonna like it.
I'm just saying, if it was like Jason or Freddy, I would be like, all right, let's talk to Freddy because he's interesting and funny. Jason is pretty predictable.
Jason, yeah, you know what he's gonna do. He's that unrelenting force. He doesn't talk. He doesn't need to. Unrelenting force of nature that's just going to kill you. That's it. So
you get him in space, or at the last
they ran out of ideas what to do with that, so they put him in space.
Yeah.
It's like, and then it becomes okay. How can we make elaborate kill scenes? Okay.
So that is a gore dependent. That is very much a gore dependent horror series.
Gore dependent and yeah. I mean, which is,
And I mean,
even the very first one, it had, because the very first one, the killer had it was in the POV shot, so you didn't know who the killer was, because it was shot in their perspective. You kind of had a hint that maybe it could be the mom, because you had like first time watching it. Let's say you had no exposure at all to Jason, which I don't know how that's going to happen. No exposure to Friday the 13th. It's like the characters kind of talk
more
about
relevant.
Yeah,
like it isn't on TV all the time the way it was 20 years ago.
True. But in the stories, they talk about how Jason or this kid drowned and the mom burned it all down. So it's like maybe she could be the killer, but you never see her until the very end. The mom's still around and she's still pissed off. Yeah, man.
Well, for the one movie, she made it to the end of that one.
Right. What else? The sci-fi though. There's something sci-fi about Jason, but there's
just when you put him on a spaceship.
Yeah, so you put him in space.
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street. Nothing sci-fi about that. That's all dream and interdimensional shit. Later on, it gets out there. Oh, what about Hellraiser? I mean,
what kind of bridges both? I mean, in general, Clive Barker tends to bridge both. But yeah, mostly a horror movie. Mostly horror.
Okay. Yeah,
for the Hellraiser movies. Yeah. But I'm saying Clive Barker in general, he's written some cool shit that bridges both. But the Hellraiser shit is pretty much just the dude from hell. And it spawns up Pinhead, is that his name? Pinhead's abilities, his powers, is basically where all of it generates from.
Let's see.
I mean, are they ever in space? I think they might be in space a little bit in that, but I don't think they even play with sci-fi elements. They might just be on a spaceship.
Yeah, I don't even really. I don't know, the dimension that they go to is so out there. I mean, but
I'm pretty sure that's all hell. That's supposed to be hell.
Yeah, I think so too. All right. What about another really good example? What about Event Horizon?
Event Horizon is brilliant, and that's definitely both. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's like I don't know if you ever played the game Doom, but that seemed like that would be like a pretty deep. I mean, it reminded me of that game, the origin of it anyway. But it's you get a possession story in space. They pulled it off.
Yeah, it's pretty dope. Yeah, no, that's a really good movie. You won't be needing eyes where we're going, Mr. Justin.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
Man. What about little stuff like I was gonna say Gremlins, but that's not sci-fi.
Gremlins is sci-fi. Yeah, that's sci-fi. I think the way they played some of it is the second one I would say is sci-fi. With the mall shut down and all that, the security system becomes part of the story in that one. The first one maybe is more of just like a horror, but even like an all-family horror, like all ages horror, PG-13 horror. But the second one, especially I think again because they start to delve into mutations and causing them on purpose, and you have the mad scientist doctor or whatever, Gremlin, in part two.
And I'm gonna shoot myself here. What in the foot? I put my foot in my mouth here. I'm sure, but isn't that just like magic?
No, in the first one, I think it is. I agree. Gremlins 1 is a horror movie, strictly no sci-fi. The second one, though, I think it leans into sci-fi as well.
Gotta rewatch that one. Okay. Are you still there? Wait. We lost the call. Wait. Poor connection. Poor network connection. Dang. Hold on. Okay. So Phoebe Xavier, we just got disconnected. Oh, wait, are you there?
Hello?
Okay, you're still there.
Yeah, I'm here.
what that was the Gremlins pissed off at the fact that I didn't respect their sci-fi presence. You know, I did not respect that. So damn.
There you go.
See, I guess it is sci-fi. Look at that. So okay, what about a movie like Chucky? Chucky's just that's a curse. That's not sci-fi.
I know.
That's just a curse. That's witchcraft. Yeah. That's him.
I don't really watch them too much.
Oh.
But I do believe that's strictly horror.
Yeah. He puts a soul somehow a serial killer knows enough, I guess, voodoo or something, and puts a soul into a plastic doll. Okay.
That would definitely be horror.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You know, we talk so much about like various horror movies and sci-fi movies. Touch on some examples. We talked about why they blend so well. But what is your favorite? What is your favorite horror movie?
I don't know. I can't say for sure. I'm not really into the horror genre, so
it could be
possibly
something different. That's fine.
Yeah. Horror.
Favorite sci-fi
horror movies? Buckaroo Banzai. And the Adventures Across the Eighth Dimension. Yeah.
Oh, I'm drawing a blank.
Were you serious? Jeff Goldblum, Christopher Lloyd. Yeah, it's one of the greatest movies of all time from the early '80s. Buckaroo Banzai and the Adventures Across the Eighth Dimension.
I've heard about it before. Man, I didn't watch. Okay, wait. How Jeff Goldblum is it?
He is one of the guys that plays in the band with Buckaroo, and they're also like his cowboys or whatever. It is not Goldblum as the main star. I forget if the guy's name's Peter Weller or Peter Harris or something shit like that is the main actor. But Christopher Lloyd is in it. There are a couple other. What's the guy from Third Rock in the Sun? The tall guy from Harry and the Hendersons or whatever. He's in that too. It's a really, really good ensemble movie. When I was a kid, they used to play it on HBO all the time.
Oh man, I can't. Okay, I'm really showing myself here. I can't believe I haven't seen this. The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai.
Yeah.
Eighth Dimension.
Yeah.
Right? All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll definitely give this one.
Definitely check out Suicide Club though too. Check out Suicide Club. That movie is fucked up.
Yeah, I do like Japanese horror movies, so I gotta definitely give that one a check. Say Suicide Club, The Audition. I got a list going on here.
Buckaroo Banzai.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool.
All right.
Also buy my comic books. You guys can go to indieplanet.com. Indie Planet is where you will find all of my books for sale. It's print to order. So if you want to either download digital for 99 cents or pay the $4 in shipping and get one of our issues. But you should buy Trouble #1. You should buy Moloch Reigning Devil #1. Mm-hmm. And also there's a couple issues of Sidereal Apogee, my other comic book. Oh, and Gunmetal Black Ops #1 is up there. That's so cool. Look up our comic books. Yeah.
One thing I didn't really get into. One thing I didn't really get into tonight with you is how is the indie comic scene going? I mean, is it? I don't know. I'm getting hints that it's really tough.
I just took part in an event recently called Free Comic Book Day, where since comic book stores are shut down, people did on Facebook shared a bunch of free comic books. Mm-hmm. I find that there's a community online of creators that are supporting one another. And there are people that go out and spend a lot of money to have a presence at a convention. But that sometimes I think they're just breaking even to have their face out there. And for now, I just rather make books and continue to put together a catalog that maybe when we blow up, you could buy all 20 of our comics all at once and then do it like that. I don't really care if in the meantime we're a huge sensation or not. Just trying to eventually make it that this is all me and my art team ever has to do is just make comic books.
And I really don't know how y'all do it. I mean, someone who just publishes anthologies of short stories and books here and there, the cost isn't really all that much, but you guys are paying for illustrations throughout the whole thing, and that has to be costly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been working on this for a number of years, and yes, a lot of time, money, and effort goes into it.
Man, I'm going to ask the question, are you getting a return?
Yeah, I mean, the satisfaction of making it is really why we're doing it.
All right, that's good. As long as the passion is still there and you're getting that satisfaction, that's very important.
Yeah.
All right. Well, definitely. Let's see. We plugged your website. Well, definitely. I need to check out your comics. I need to get some of them. Be good to have because I like them.
Cool.
For sure.
Awesome.
All right. Now we are kind of wrapping up here, kind of in the show. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like this, press the like button, share, subscribe. If you're listening to this on the iTunes feed, which most of you guys do, I think, on the podcast feed, you can rate it, leave a comment. Let us know what you think, and let me know what you think of the guests too. It definitely helps out. All right. Woo. Phoebe Xavier, thank you so much for joining me, for the podcast. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. Yep, and maybe we'll do this sometime in the future.
I'm pretty sure we will. You have a good one.
All right, awesome. Thank you. Have a great night.
You too.